Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from fantasyfootballscout.co.uk. Today I'm joined by Always Cheating Podcasts, Josh and Brandon. Firstly, Josh, how are you?
I am doing very well, thank you.
Excellent.
I like getting the "How are you" said to me.
Yeah,
It's very nice.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like the way that you asked Brandon, "How are you?" And so I got to say it to you, and now I get to say it to Brandon. So exciting. Brandon, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking, Joe. Thanks for having us.
Great, excellent. Now there's a team already on the screen at the moment, and I'm hoping it's your team. I think it is. It's got De Bruyne there injured. It's got,
Yep.
But I understand changes have been made. You've got Aguero captain, is this right? And Haller still there. But take us through your team at the moment. What sort of rank you are at the moment, and what moves you've made for game week 8.
Blimey, Joe. It's not been the best start of the season for me. Everyone will know last season I finished just outside the top 10K, which is, that's near the bullseye that we're shooting for. It's been a really slow start for me. Right now, I am ranked 896,132. So it's rough. But I have 2 green arrows in a row coming into game week 8. I broke through the top million last week. That felt like a minor victory. Josh and I have set personal goals for game week 10 on the Always Cheating pod. So before game week 10, or I guess coming out of game week 10, I'm hoping to be around 399K. So it's incremental baby steps that I want to achieve.
I think
you moved like 1 million last week, right? Like
yeah,
a massive jump.
Yeah, very very cliche to say, but it's still true. At this point in the season, a good game week can really be a huge rise in the overall ranks for you.
Indeed, I can't. Where am I at the moment? I'm just outside the top 100,000, but I've been 600,000, 400,000. It just, the jumps are absolutely huge. It's like 500,000 at a time for a good or bad game week. So who knows where I'm going to end up at the end of this game week. But yeah, Brandon, anyone come in for you this week? Your moves, obviously. Are you keeping KDB first of all?
Yes, I am keeping KDB. Assuming that it's really terrible timing for the injury with the break coming up. It kind of allows Pep a little rhetorical wiggle room. But I just don't see how it's worth it if we immediately want to bring KDB back. So it's kind of like I've been viewing it as taking a transfer hit to get rid of him, like a -4, because it's 2 transfers to move him instead of 1. So I'm actually going to start him this week. Josh, I think you mentioned the same thing last night on the Twitter, and that how much do we actually believe Pep? And there's no real risk in starting De Bruyne. If he is really injured, he's not going to come in for a brief cameo, or Pep is lying, that fraud that he is, and De Bruyne is actually going to start and get 3 assists. So I'm going to start him, and Cantwell will be first on my bench just to pop in and presumably fill that hole.
Yeah, I think I'm doing similar as well. It was a comments earlier in the week, wasn't it, about the Champions League, when he was going, everyone's fit for the Champions League, in a sort of I'm not going to tell you whether anyone's fit or not. And it turns out that KDB had a groin injury and he wasn't fit. So their best player in midfield was just not available. Massive. So
you do the same thing, Joe. If you were a Premier League manager, you just lie all the time.
Nothing to be gained from telling the truth.
I know. I would just lie. I mean, these people, these good managers who are telling us like so and so's injured or not. The good old days, like Alex Ferguson. Yeah, not telling you, or go away, young whippersnapper. How dare you ask me who's injured? That type of thing.
Fergie would just say, "I'm not speaking to you." Period. That's just the true. Great move.
Or Mourinho would hide. I remember the classic press conference and match was when Mourinho was banned and sent to the stands, and and he got the kit man to do the press conference, and he himself allegedly hid in a laundry trolley with his mobile phone. I have no idea what was going on there. And I don't even know if I've just made all that up. It just popped in my head. But I seem to remember. That.
Yeah.
It sounds plausible. Mourinho hiding in the laundry.
Yeah.
Is this what you do before a match day? You two? Do you converse about what you're doing for the team and things like? Because you were talking about about particularly
Yeah.
about Guardiola perhaps playing De Bruyne. So yeah, take us through a typical conversation.
It would not be. It would not be a Saturday morning because we'll typically be sleeping. It's
Yes.
6:22 here right
Whoa.
now. So I often, because I'm an anxious fantasy manager who is way too obsessed with this stuff, I will often wake up right around this time on Saturdays because it's 8 minutes before the clean sheets, and I'll often be sweating out. It's often a pretty big match. I feel like that starts off the day. So it'll be Liverpool or somebody, and so I'm like, I always pop on just to like make sure there's no like late breaking injury news or anything like that. Or I'm just anxious in general. Like I just want the games to start up.
And on your podcast, you go to the pub, the Black Lion, to watch. Is that
Black
right?
Horse?
The Black
Yeah,
Horse.
Black
Sorry,
Horse.
yeah. I've just changed the complete makeup of that particular animal.
We're told there's a Black Horse somewhere on the outskirts of London, the sister
probably,
bar of our
I think there's many Black Horses and many Black Lions. Worth an FPL pub crawl at a later date. So did you watch? So you're watching the matches? Are they're taking place? 11 o'clock your time? Mainly the 3 o'clock?
7:30 a.m. We're in New York on the East Coast, so 7:30 a.m. is the early Saturday kickoff, and then 10 a.m. is the midday round of kickoffs, and then 12:30 is the final kickoff. So actually, for people who have partners and families, it's actually great timing because come 2 o'clock in the afternoon, your day of sport is over, and then there's enough time for you to actually go and have a life. Whereas
assuming you haven't had like 9 beers while watching the morning games.
Right, back from the Black Horse, you could be straight back in bed to
stagger home with nursing the wounds of a captaincy blank.
But NFL fans on a Sunday, that's their whole day. It's gone. It's nonstop until the evening.
So De Bruyne happily sitting there, hopefully coming in. Did we finally get to who have you brought in or not? You're just gonna
you've saved all the drama for now, Joe. So well done as the host. Now, the Adrian move that I made on my wild card in Gameweek 5 has finally come home to roost.
Right.
It really was a short-sighted move and the type of move that I think a lot of fantasy pundits try to warn people from doing. And there was just too much of a temptation for this cheap Liverpool goalkeeper. Hey, I've got like maybe more than a month just to rake in some clean sheet points and use it to my advantage. Adrian has not been worth it by any stretch of the imagination. And with the news that Allison is back in full training and could start today, and I don't have a goalkeeper rotation, Adrian had to go. It was either make the move this week or make it during the international break. So I'm mitigating the risk, and I'm bringing in Matt Ryan from Brighton.
As a Brighton fan, I salute you.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So cheers, Joe. I hope that you guys play well against Spurs in the early kickoff here. But just looking at, I'm just focused on spending as little money as possible in positions like this. Josh and I talk a lot about the fact that clean sheets are deceased; they don't exist anymore. So let's just be cheap in the back, save our Liverpool defenders. And you look at the fixture runs for a lot of the other cheap goalkeepers like Tom Heaton. It's rough going. Nick Pope, I already have Burnley coverage with Matt Loughton. So Brighton's fixtures after Spurs in game week 8 are pretty appealing with Villa, Everton, Norwich, and then Manchester United. Who knows what will happen there? And it's those two home fixtures, Everton, Norwich, which I think Matt Ryan will do well. So it's not a fun move to make, but it was just a necessary move, and eat your vegetables move.
Yeah, no, it's a good move. I was something. If David was here now, apparently he can't be here because he's having a haircut. That is actually true. But
it's true
if he was here, he would indeed salute that move. Not because it's a Brighton goalkeeper, just because it's a goalkeeper switch. And in those kind of weeks where you're not quite sure what to do, and it's like a bit of a housekeeping move. It's like it's a good time to move that goalkeeper. as well. Josh, let's quickly come to your team just before we get the team sheets for the kickoff as well. So I'm just putting your team on the screen. So this was the team as of yesterday, but understand a move has been made. So take us through your team and who's in and out.
Pretty dramatic move. Probably the most dramatic move I've made all season. I have moved Aaron Wan-Bissaka to Ryan Fredericks. Yeah, I have. I'm just banking cash right now. It's a really tricky game week for me. I've been, because of the, so KDB almost definitely out. AWB was almost definitely going to be out as well. Todd Cantwell, bit of a doubt. Zinchenko, possible rotation threat. I mean, I'm in a position where I could either, I could have, I really like my starting 11, assuming everyone plays. But if even one person is out, it's not great. I bring Son Yoku in. If two people are out, then I could just field 10 players this game week. Yeah. The question for me was whether I wanted to. And by the way, it's important to note that I hate my team right now. It's I want to change every part of it, just top to bottom. I've been debating whether I want to burn 4 to move. Connor Wickham to someone like Josh King. And I don't really have enough money to move anyone else. But if I wait a week, then I can downgrade Zinchenko to a 4.5 million defender. And then I can actually bring in Tammy Abraham if I wanted. I may still bring in Josh King. I'm not sure. But I want to give myself a little bit of flexibility, and burning 4 to bring it. Let's assume I get 1 point from Son Yoku on Sunday. Then I need at least 5 points from Josh King to make that transfer worthwhile. And I just didn't. I mean, I'm sure he could get 5 points away at Arsenal, but it felt a little too risky to me, a little needlessly risky.
It's a gradual shift, as I'll talk about when I talk about my team in a bit. It's a gradual shift of those funds and the importance from defence to attack. So I'm just going to temporarily put Brandon's team up there because this is right. Who have we got on the bench there? We got Vardy. Is that
right?
No, I just want to come back to that because it's one of those things you look at and you sort of double take and think, and then hang on a minute.
I'm glad you came back. I'm glad you came back to it so I can address it, Joe. Yeah. Because I'm sure people watching out there think that I'm crazy. And Josh, you actually made a bet with me on the podcast that you'd walk over to my house and give me $5 if I actually benched Vardy. Was that the bet? I don't really remember. Okay. Anyway, no, Vardy is starting, and it's a weird week for my team in that I have players that a lot of players that I guess I kind of like, and I have an opportunity to start them, but they're not blockbuster players. We were talking about Issa Diop home to Crystal Palace or Todd Cantwell home Aston Villa. Vardy away Liverpool sounds not as appealing on paper, but he is Jamie Vardy, and Leicester do actually look good, whereas Liverpool's defense are looking a little shaky. So yes, I will start Jamie Vardy, benching Todd Cantwell first, and curious to know what you're doing with Fredericks, Josh, because I've just decided I have zero faith in the West Ham defense. Despite them getting 3 clean sheets out of 4, and Diop is second on my bench.
Well, let's put Josh's team back on as well, because I thought it was an interesting contrast as well, because you're so plentiful in attackers, Brandon. I saw Jamie Vardy's just spare. I can just put him on the bench. But right. Obviously, you've got a good attack going on there, and Josh, you're working towards that as well. But go back to
Mo Salah. I think that's the biggest difference.
But with Fredericks as well, I mean, Roberto is coming in goal, so it's a bit of a Liverpool situation. Goodbye, Goalkeeper. Bye, Fabianski, and hello, person who all the fans don't like. Poor guy, but they don't rate him.
Well, I just felt like, I don't like any of my alternatives, really. I already have Son Yoku. I honestly am so in my head about how to say his name at this point.
I think it's Chu.
Son Yoku. I think
it's Sion Ju, actually. So I'm going to come up with a third
what a
one.
curveball.
I know. I've been consulting and been barracked by Turkish fans and also the Leicester Mercury. I thought it was Sion Yu, but I pronounced the U Ju. So Sion Ju, apparently.
anyone who listens to our podcast on the regular knows that we basically never pronounce anyone's name correctly. So I'm just going to lean into that and continue to say it incorrectly. I don't, I mean, the West Ham defense has been, pretty strong all season. And, I don't really put a lot of, I mean, Bournemouth are always going to score 1 or 2 goals at home. And so that performance didn't dissuade me at all. No Fabianski was worrisome, but I mean, I just look at this, a Palace team without, a number of key players this weekend. And then they play Sheffield United and Newcastle at home in game weeks 10 and 11. I mean, like, find me a better, 3 out of 4 fixtures for any other team in the Premier League. Maybe I guess Man City actually is like the only other one. And so for me, it just felt like it was almost like a process of elimination. I already have Pope. I didn't want to bring in a second Burnley defender. I did consider Aston Villa briefly because they have been so strong at home. And maybe I bring an Aston Villa defender in game week 9. I'm not sure. But I don't know. It just felt like I felt like that it was like a reasonable punt to make. And, I don't mind making punts on 4.5 million players. I mean, it's sort of, you have to, what your expectations are when you bring in someone who's cheap to begin with, so, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm not really sure how much, Fabianski's a great keeper. So, this could be worrisome. We'll
it's
see.
a real watch this space because this could be the end of the West Ham. It could be the start of a beautiful new relationship between the West Ham defenders. But I'm just going to break off because we've got some news coming in from the team sheets. So Brighton, my team, play Spurs. And the Spurs team's looking ominously good. So let's roll through it. Lloris is back and he's their captain. Sissoko gets the nod. Presumably at right back, but he's listed down there as a defender. Alderweireld, Vertonghen and Davis complete the defence there. Eric Dyer is back, and Ndombele is there. Ericsson plays, Lamela plays, Kane plays, and drum roll, Son plays as well. The substitutes include the likes of Dele Alli, Lucas Moura. God, I had Lucas Moura in one of my early teams, and I sort of knew this was going to happen. And Skip and Winks are there on the bench. So a bit of a change there with Spurs. Very, traditionally good attacking Spurs lineup there. Not sure how Brighton are going to fare against that. Looks quite ominous to me as a Brighton fan.
It looks good.
Brighton's lineup. Here we go. Ryan in goal. Hooray for Ryan. Webster, Dunk and Byrne are the centre-backs there. Montoya is there. And Stevens, Moy, Alzati. Alzati is getting a lot of plaudits recently. I believe he's from London, but he's been called up by the Colombian national team, something like that. But he's doing very well. Pascal Gross, remember him? He was good once. He's playing. Maupay, he could be good. Who knows yet? And young Connolly plays. So Murray on the bench. Well, if it's looking a bit dicey, bring on Murray at home. There's your goal. But in the meantime, young
who is
Connolly playing? He's the one to watch, by the way. Ireland under 21 star, and he's the one that puts on the face.
Who got called up to the Colombian national team? Is it?
I believe it was Alzate. Yeah. I believe.
Okay. I like the idea that he has no connection at all to Colombia. But
I'm not sure, but my understanding is that he's I wouldn't say my understanding he's not Colombian, but my understanding is that I believe he could have been called up by England,
or a family connection or something. Gotcha.
Like the whole of the Ireland squad
in the States, it's all down to where your father was based in the military. Is true.
Okay.
That earns you a call up.
Really? Well, I have no military connections in my family, and also I have no football skills to be called up, so not relevant to me. But here is my team. So I'm just going to get my team. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly go over my team, and then I'm going to come back to both of you because I want to talk about Game Week 9 and beyond. So here's my team. This was my team last night. I was looking at that and thinking, I've got 2 free transfers. I'm not sure what to do. De Bruyne's not going to play. Well, 1% chance he might. I've got Cantwell as well, looking injured. So I just thought I'd plan ahead a little bit. And I was looking at Game Week 9 onwards. And I was also looking at the Arsenal defence. And so I decided to make a rather boring move of do what we were talking about earlier. Move some of that money out of defence and move it up top. The Mason Greenwood experiment has gone wrong. He's getting some minutes, but he's just not. He's just literally, he's not even a 2-point player. 2 points I could take. 1 point is just a slap in the face. So it's time for him to go. I've moved a bit up. So I like Josh King. I think he's now undervalued. He's the penalty taker for Bournemouth. He plays Arsenal. He also plays Watford and Norwich coming up. So I think there's goals in that matches. I hope so.
Yeah.
And I think the Bournemouth penalty guy, apparently, Josh King is being very effective on the... I've been canvassing some opinion, and Bournemouth fans tell me that they really like to see Josh King on the left. He's looking very dangerous, been unlucky to blank in that role, but he got 12 points last time out. I have got Rico in. If my bench fodder's not going to play, it might as well be Rico rather than Mason Greenwood. So I've saved a bit of money there. So like both of you, now I've got this right. You're both captaining Sterling, is that right? No.
Yes.
Aguero for me.
Oh, Brandon Aguero. Josh, you're Sterling captain?
That is correct.
Sterling captain for me as well. I'm set up a bit looking forwards. I've got De Bruyne there, just no off chance, but expecting Cantwell to come in. If not, then I'm down to the Rico, Sionju kind of dregs. But I'm keeping faith in Salah for a bit. Sterling captain for me. I've got King, Pookie and Abraham up top. So I've got this kind of nice sort of cheap to mid-price strikers who actually play. I like the rest of my team, really. So Luca Dean has gone, despite championing him. I'm just looking at clean sheets. I just thought genuinely, with Sionju coming in with Leicester's good fixtures, I just thought, when am I actually going to play Luca Dean? Do I really want to play him? So I just thought, well, he's going to be benched this week. He's going to be benched in future weeks. Time to move on. So there we go. Pretty boring. I'm not expecting Josh King to return dramatically against Arsenal. I'll take a goal, but 2 points is probably... But it's really Watford and Norwich I'm on the lookout there. So stay safe while you're on Norwegian duty there, Josh King. I said I'd talk about game week 9 to 13. So up on the screen, I'm just putting a thing of the fixtures up. And so we've seen your team. So we just... gives an insight into how you're preparing for the weeks ahead. Arsenal at top there. They've got Sheffield United, Crystal Palace, Wolves, Leicester and Southampton. So nice bunch of fixtures. Leicester themselves really high up there. Burnley, Southampton, Crystal Palace coming up. Wolves are up there as well. Intriguing, but while they're in Europa, personally I'm not interested. Bournemouth, Norwich and Watford coming up. Manchester United, they're not impressing either. Newcastle defence as well. I forgot they're playing Newcastle as well. And then Wolves, so that's a great run of fixtures for Bournemouth. Everton looking good, so Luca Dean's going to punish me. I'm used to that, so just bring it on, Lucas. Further down the list as well, I guess Burnley is still looking good. Chelsea there, Newcastle, Burnley, Watford and Crystal Palace coming up. So they're the sort of teams that I'm personally targeting. Josh, Brandon, what are your thoughts about game week 9 and beyond? The sort of players and teams you're looking at.
I'll jump in and just say I have 3 issues that I'm thinking about, and it's Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea. I have no Liverpool attack right now, which Liverpool do have some tricky fixtures, which is a whole argument in and of itself coming up. So I feel like I'm swerving there, and I'll have to come back to Mane, Salah, Firmino in a few weeks' time. Tammy Abraham is probably the most urgent for me. Sebastian Aller, he's been a question mark for a lot of owners for the last few weeks, and I think probably that's the quickest move that I'm looking to make for these future fixtures is Aller to Abraham. The big question for me then is what to do about Aubameyang, because I'm situated with Aguero up front, and that's a really easy sideways move to make. And these concerns about rotation with Jesus make that even more appealing. I do feel like because today or tomorrow, Sunday, it's a home fixture for City, Aguero should be likely to start. And then Jesus going away on international duty for Brazil, Aguero may be primed to start again against Crystal Palace. So then in game week 10, maybe that's when I target Aubameyang home Palace. So those are the 3 teams and specific players that I'm looking at. So it's largely based on attack for me looking ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to chip in. The thing that slightly put me off Aubameyang, and this is really slight because he's great and he's just guaranteed points, was that he's got the Sheffield United game away. Arsenal aren't as great away. Sheffield United defence, they're looking really good. So yeah, I agree with you. Gameweek 10, Crystal Palace. But Aubameyang's a big miss in my team, and personally. But yeah, Josh, what are you thinking about Gameweek 9 and beyond?
Yeah, well, I think that the biggest issue for me is I need a third forward, much like you, Joe. And that's the question is whether I bring in someone like Josh King, whether I sort of stay cheap there and use all this money that I'm accruing by turning my expensive defensive assets into cheaper ones, to maybe upgrade Allaire to someone like Aubameyang, possibly even Jamie Vardy. I shouldn't say even. I guess it would be Jamie Vardy instead of Aubameyang. And I just feel like I don't have a lot of flexibility on my bench right now. And, if you're going to have a lot of Man City assets, you just have to expect that a lot of times they're just not going to start at all, and I feel like I'm having to, just based on the rotation we've seen, I've had a lot of weak players come off my bench. I need at least one 5, 6, 7 million forward just to sort of help balance my team out a little bit. So yeah, I'm looking at Josh King as well. I mean, God, King, King or Callum the Truth Wilson at home to Norwich in game week 9 is I think that's a possible captaincy shout right there.
It's lip smackingly good.
It really is.
Also, the thing about having Josh King is so the move from him to say Callum Wilson, you see, or Abraham and Haller, for these types of players, for a lot of people, you're looking at 1 million, 1.5 million. But the move from Mason Greenwood to those guys is like 3. So you need to chip away.
Exactly.
So
that's exactly where I am.
I'm pleased you've been chipping away, because that's what I've been doing as well. So I feel some comfort there.
I think it has to be done. Just in general, having 3 forwards, I feel like every time that I try to go without 3 forwards, it comes back to haunt me. And I think I got seduced by Cantwell. I just got seduced by how attacking Norwich looked early on. And I thought, all right, well, if I'm going to play Cantwell most game weeks, then I don't really need a third forward. And it turns out that Norwich can't win on the road.
No.
I feel like we've really seen that the last couple of game weeks. And so if I don't mind playing Pookie in those road fixtures. And obviously he did score away to Liverpool game week 1, but having double Norwich attack on the road now does not seem like
it sounds crazy, doesn't it? So take our mind back. So we're in July. The FPL games come out, and we're all sitting there going, "Hey, I'm going to double up on that Norwich attack." What were we thinking? Brandon, do you echo those views as well for these sort of so-called traps?
It's easy to get drunk on present results, particularly early in the season. And early in the season, you just kind of you're reaching in the dark for anything to hold on to. And because Norwich assets were so cheap and affordable, there was really nothing to lose. And now we're in a point where you have to think about moving them on, and that's okay. That's kind of the way the game is played, and I think it's fair to say that Pookie and Cantwell have done really well for FPL managers, all things considered. So now we have more information. It feels like maybe it's time to move them on, and it feels like that's just a great way to play the game.
Yeah, definitely.
So don't beat yourself up for having to get rid of these.
No, I know. I just think this happens all the time as fantasy managers. We do at least I've always got in my heart, I know that last season when Richarlison was injured, I didn't get Walcott in, so I didn't fall on the biggest elephant trap known to mankind in fantasy management.
We've all been there, yeah.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because I feel like that's the KDB trap right now. Is there's this temptation to go from KDB to Mahrez, but it's like, who do you pick? It's like, do you pick Mahrez? Do you pick either one of the Silvas? It felt a little too risky. I think all 3 of us decided that, right? It was just too risky to. Also, all of us
have wildcarded fairly recently, even though, Josh, you said you don't like your team, but we've all wildcarded. So there's a point really where our benches should be in a state where we can cope with one player missing a game week, and there we go. And it's coming an international break. Meanwhile, I'm going to have to shoot off now. I'm about to meet some other fantasy Premier League managers.
Are you going to Tom Campbell's meetup?
Tom Campbell, and I'm going to be Andy from Let's Talk FPL, and of course the Scoutcast, and Mark, who is otherwise known as Sky, the Sky Fantasy Podcast guy. He's the guy to go to. So this is some heavyweights, some big guns from the worlds of FPL are there.
Yeah,
so,
tell them we said hi. Brett and I are coming to the UK for another trip. We're looking at February or March for some matches. We definitely want to do a meetup there. So maybe you can do 2 in a year.
That'd be good. I'd look forward to that. All right. But meantime, just before we go, I just want to give a quick plug, as we always do, for the Fantasy Football Scout members area. The season ticker, for example, that we put up on the screen there, that was from that area there. What you can do is you can sort by difficulty, and you can chop it up into chunks in the season as well. So I've found that looking at game week 9, next 5 or 6 fixtures, really useful there in my planning. But loads of other gadgets and articles in there as well. But
we're both
yes.
Happy members of the Fantasy Football Scout.
It's great to get that endorsement. And but for now, Josh, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us on, Joe. If I can get a quick plug as well, we have a podcast, Always Cheating, that you can download and listen to anywhere for free.
And Brandon, thanks so much for joining me. The plug's been done now, so.
Yeah, I just sit back and relax. That's the way it goes. But thanks for having us, Joe, and good luck to everyone this game week.
Thanks so much for joining me, and goodbye all.
Thanks, Joe.